What up, y'all? Check it out. I wanted to come to you today, and it was having to do with the topic of why does the narcissist always rush the relationship? You know, when we're talking about, of course, cycle number one with the narcissist, and why do they rush it? I mean, and I know you know some of these details, but I wanted to put it together so, maybe there's something that you might have missed. But they do this to create this strong bond and to bind you to them. And so this is one of them things. That's why right away they'll throw that sex, they'll throw some sex at you, and then they'll be sexual real quick. They love to push the I love yous real fast. I mean, we're talking about in a matter of days. The wanting to move in, the getting married. I mean, within a month, they're talking about they're ready to get married whenever you're ready. I mean, this is kind of like crazy talk, right? And but they do all of these things that get you kind of like in tune with, it's kind of like they know what they're out looking for. And so when they find an empath like yourself, and they know that they got a jewel if they can lock it down, because they are infatuated with you. I mean, they will get to a point to where they'll crave you as much as really, they talk about this trauma bond, and that's what they're building in you. They got to build it quick before the mask slips. And as much as they speak about us being addicted to them, they are addicted to you, because if you spend any amount of time away from them, I could show you, like, before I pushed my ex's like emails to spam and blocked her, like you will find that I was getting emails that were like talking about how I crave you, and how I need your touch and all this stuff, man. Like, but for a time I would just kind of toss it into spam, but then when you go ahead and block somebody, it just goes right to spam, and that's the best you can do. But I mean, so then it will just go into your spam folder or whatever, your empty, basically, you're basically throwing the trash in a trash can in your email box. But anyway, they want to get married. They throw all these nice flattering remarks and statements to you, like and I'll tell you, you get so many of these flattering gestures that they buy you things, and they do so much of this that you also have like red flags coming at you. And even in the part of this game, because you got to understand, they only really want, when it comes to the primary supply, they want strong individuals. And if they can get like a secondary source that is a pretty stand-up individual, that would be really good for them. A lot of times they just have a primary source that's really a good stand-up individual, at least when they meet them. A lot of times what you find is the individual that was the primary supply. They can get to a point to where if you see them down the road, man, they can get all tore up and look dusted and disgusted, because they've stayed with this individual way too long. But what they've put up with, like, really truly only like somebody only somebody very strong could actually just even deal with them on a daily basis. You're talking about somebody that's demon possessed, or nevertheless we're dealing, when you are dealing with somebody like a narcissist, they have entities in them, or they are an energy that is not from this realm. Okay, and just being around that on a daily basis and getting hammered away from it, you know, within 6 feet. I mean, you're talking about, you're with this energy vibration that is from a damned dimension. Okay, and you know, people wonder, well, you know, how bad could it be? You know, the attacks, or, you know, I mean, how could it have injured you so bad, or how could have you even been, you know, how do you say this? How could you been dumb enough to even like stay there that long to feed into that bullshit? And you know, honest to God, man, they pick really good individuals, man. And when they get their primary source of supply, a lot of times they're like poking themselves, because they're like, I can't believe you got this, you know, when it comes to their primary source of supply. And they have got to lock it down fast, and they got to keep it secured, and then they got to isolate it. And so this is why they have to do these things. And when they have to do these things, but they have to not just, you know, get you, but they got to get you hooked, and they got to get you bound to them. You see, this is like when you're talking about covenants, you know, especially when you go back into, like, say, the biblical era, you know, of the Old Testament and things. Like, covenants are huge, and they're very spiritual. And the way that the narcissist comes at you, it is totally at a spiritual level, to get you bound and binded to them through sex, through all these things, these I love yous, these text messages, these 60 text messages a day in the beginning when you first start dating them, and the amount of phone time that you spend with them, and you're getting red flags while you're getting love bombed. And so a lot of times what it does is it masks them. Okay, and what's crazy is everything about the narcissist is masked up. And even when it comes down to them love bombing you, it's a mask. It's masked up as well, because what they're doing is they're masking their red flags from the camouflaging cover of love bombing, flattering, you know, gestures and remarks and gifts and talk time and text time, and things like getting married and moving in, and I love yous is, and the quick sex, and that all is getting you addicted to them. And when you are totally bound to them, is they do perform the push and the pull on you, the hot and the cold on you, the breadcrumb on you, the ghost you, the postpone on you. And those are tests. Those are tests on you to see how you would react and respond. And it also is their tests to see if you are locked in to the trauma bond. And how you respond to that is how you're going to show them whether or not you're locked in or not. And how you supply fuel for them in the matrix as the center of the fuel matrix. And that's what they are making you now. They're testing you as the center of the fuel matrix in their life, to see if you're passing all the tests. I will say that they have to get you to believe they have this imitation of themselves, this fake identity, right? So they have this imaginary image of themselves that they portray to you during the love bomb phase, and that is the fantasy version of them that they portray to the world. So when they meet you and they're love bombing you, you're still considered an outsider and of the people of the world that they deal with on a regular basis. So they have to wear the mask. But you're going to get the world gets the false mask of what they look like at work, and the times when they go out and hang out with their friends. But now you're getting the false mask of the intimate partner in the relationship style. And so they're drawing you in again with a fake identity and into that's what they call the fairy tale land. And they got to have you, once they get you to believe that false self, and that's where you see, that's where the false self is. And inherently, that's where the base of the false self is for you. You met them out in the world, but now you're seeing the intimate partner version of it. And this is something that is a little bit more intimate because the people of the world don't get to see this version. But you're seeing all of the false masks that you have been around, as far as you're not going to see how they treat their other partners, that unbeknownst to you that they were dating behind your back and stuff. But yeah, they're going to get the same version. I mean, they're going to get a similar version. It's just they're not going to get as much because they're not going to be the primary supply, so they're not going to waste their time on people like that. But they got to get you head over freaking heels, head over effing heels. They want you to be, and when you get like that and they test you, then they can allow the mask to slip, and that's when they know that they have you hooked. At that point is when you are head over heels for them, because now you believe their false self. So now when they go into this devaluation phase, and they go into moving on to devaluing you, cheating on you, and doing the hot and cold with you, to further continue to get your hormones, your serotonins, your dopamine, your cortisol, and all that all flipped upside down as well. They run some of those and then add to the manipulations, and they even will ask, they of course they mirror you and they data mine you, but they will even ask. I remember mine asking me like what I was looking for in a woman, and then she actually told me, okay, I can do that, I'm gonna be that. And I thought it was the weirdest thing, but I didn't say anything, because it was like at the point it was kind of harmless. But I knew the lifesaver in this last one for me is I had been in one for over 10 years, okay? And she kind of walked and talked a little bit like her, so I was kind of on reserve with her a little bit. Although, as much as I thought I was on reserve, I really wasn't, because after I had been trauma bonded by this one real heavily, she's very powerful. She got me trauma bonded really well, and I was didn't know how bad I was trauma bonded until after I had kind of defied her and discarded her. I've always been the one to discard her, because after you've been with people for a long time and it didn't work, what I had learned is that it was a hard lesson, but the one that I was married to for over 10 years, and then I had another one before this last one that really truly woke me up completely. But what I learned is that I guess I was trying to help her and change her, and maybe that I hadn't completely, I don't know, you get dragged into this stuff, it's almost like subliminal before you wake up to it. But in hindsight, you can see a lot of the red flags right away when you think about it, and you've learned the etiology of this and the pathology. But one thing that I never did forget through that marriage of almost 10 years or whatever, it was that the shit was never going to change. And when you're with somebody for 10 years and not a damn thing changed, we didn't accomplish nothing between the two of us, that I knew that as she was walking and talking like the last individual I had, that I at least knew that this shit with her was never going to change either. And it was such to a higher level that it was so destructive that I really like, she's very destructive, most destructive person I ever met in my life. Nobody could last long with her. She's got a lot of entities in her. But you know, it's a sad story. The Narcissist is a sad story. And that's something that I was kind of bent up on for a while. I mean, as much as I, you know, a lot of times can hate the damn narcissist, and they use me, abuse me, you know, didn't give a shit about me. I still, I know that I know where they're going when they die, and I know that this probably started out of a lot of original hurt, although I don't know. I mean, I just assume that, you know, some negative. I mean, I'd heard some stories, but you never know what's true and what's not. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's still an individual that has a soul, and they're not going to be able to recover it. And so you can't just walk the earth and just damn people every day and destroy people every day and expect to go to heaven. So that's a sad situation. And all I wanted to do at one point was, you know, love and help the individual. And you can get into this hurricane of, I call it the hurricane, and I call it like it's a storm you're in the whole time. And you know, when you lead them and you heal, you're like someone that is zen, and you're on a boat and just floating, and the seas are calm, like after the storm. But while you're with them, it's incredibly strong hurricane that will continue to destroy everything in its path. And you know, you could see the little child in them a lot of times, and you just want to help them, but then they use that even as a manipulation, because they know what that is doing, and so they'll even play you into that. And you know, you can get to a point where you feel like you're almost going to reach them, and then everything goes to shit again. And it's kind of sad, because if you continue to hang in there, you can go through cycle after cycle after cycle with them, and before you know it, it's 10, 20, 30 years, and your whole life is gone trying to help an individual that really, at the end of the day, has turned everything upside down and into a manipulation. And there might be somebody in there, but you're never going to help them. And, you know, it's just something that I think a lot of people that have had a hard time, like, leaving these cases, like, some people never get over these, you know, and I think that you're always going to have some sort of hurt from it that you will probably never get over. I'll never be the same after, especially this last one, but I am recovered. It's just, there's some scars there, man, you know, and you're just always going to have some scars there. But you live, you learn, you grow, and you stay away, and you learn that there's some cold ass people out there, man, that are absolutely have been taken over. And so the thing is they get to a point to where they're so infilled that they're I hate to say it, but they're satanic. And you know, what is Satan? Satan is evil, right? But like Christ, the opposite of Satan is what the opposite of evil is, and that is to live, right? That is to speak life, right? And that's what Christ says. He says that I come to give you life, and life more abundantly. Okay. And if there's one thing that, I have been learning over time with dealing with the narcissist is, and I've known the word, but the word has a lot of scriptures become more living to me in dealing with the narcissist, man. And it sucks sometimes, but it's true. And God and Christ did come to give you life and life more abundantly. And when you understand what that means, it's life is to be real. Okay. And Satan makes everything fake and false and a false mask, a false imitation. And I think the weird thing about this is the worst evil that anybody could possibly do, and I've thought about this for a long time, is to be false. And not just false, but to be fake. And just as Satan has deceived the narcissist and he makes them completely fake. They've been gaslit so bad. They fed into the bullshit, and they could have been, great individuals, and doing great things in humanity. Some of them are very talented and in ways that we could see them, but they don't use it because they're blocked off. And so it's just, they just have been so infiltrated by evil that everything that Satan does is fake. He masquerades as an angel of light, and so do they. And when he got the angels to fall from heaven, he did it by lying to them and faking to them. And even clowns are representative of the Nephilim in the Bible, man. But again, that's a painted face. And the whole world is fake. All the constructs of this world system are fake. I mean, and it's interesting how the whole world is built on falsity and lies. I mean, from the news media to some of these wars that we're supposedly fighting. If you dig deep into anything, into politics, the voting process, if you dig into the Earth's cosmology, some history, science, there's even the pastors on TV. Everything's got so much fake built into it that it's like the whole world is, it lies in the evil one. That's what's just in the word. It's built on lies from the evil one. But Christ came, man, and it talks about him being the Word of God, and that is, the Word of God is the sword of the Spirit, right? The sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, right? That's like Ephesians 6. And it talks about, to get, for your feet to be shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, to have the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, right? The shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. You got to be prepped with this stuff so you can deal with the enemy. And if Christ he's the sword of the Spirit, right? He is the sword. And when he came to this earth, man, he cut right through everything that was false and fake. The whole world was. And everywhere he went, every hierarchy around hated him because they are all fake. And he cut right through it. And the truth always cuts through. It cuts through, man. It's going to always come forth. And that's why I always say, like, the truth will come out and they will reap what they sowed. And you will find out too. because the truth is if you sow bad seeds, you're gonna reap a bad harvest. And it speaks in the Bible about better is a thing in the end than a thing in the beginning, because not only in the end does Christ and destroy all of the enemy without us having to do anything, but even in life, there's justice. Justice gets served, and it's a cold ass plate to the enemy, and it is a what they say is karma is it's a slow, patient gangster, and it will get your ass. It'll take its time, but it's gonna get you. So they're not getting away with anything, and there's nothing that you need to do. But you'll be vindicated all on doing nothing, just doing you. But also, I was thinking about, sometimes being a narcissist could be, a culmination of all of your karma, all being put together and slammed at you by God as well. And sometimes, that wakes you up to your, like, you working on and going inside and changing your shadow self, and making amends with situations that you needed to get hit. You need to hit a wall, maybe, for you to wake up to your shadow self and these particular things. In the end, it says, everything is everything, right? So all meaning all good things, for those that love the Lord, everything is going to work out for good, right? And so in the end, this will be, in the end, it'll be a blessing to you. I know you probably don't think so now, but it will. And there'll be a lot of advantages that will come with this that will solidify the rest of your life without these stupid people and these potholes and these people that have a lot of torment that they need to displace onto you. But you have to get to a point to where you wise up. You know that there's people out there that are just straight up cold and demonic and satanic, and they're never going to change. You're not going to change them, and it doesn't matter what you do or how long you do it or how much love you give them. It ain't going to change a damn thing. And so you gotta read the red flags. I mean, you gotta and get to stepping, man. And you do you, and let them destroy themselves, because that's what the enemy does. The enemy ends up getting with the enemy in the end, and they kill each other. So that's how confusion works. And it's funny, because what does it say, man? In Matthew, it says a soft answer turneth away wrath. I think it's in Matthew. But think about it, like, right? I mean, it's like, when it's kind of like, remember when the narcissists, they're like trying to get you to react, man, and you just give them a soft answer, man. Makes sense. But yeah, another thing is when you get butterflies when you meet somebody, just so you know, that is not a good thing. The world will tell you that you're in love. That's why you're getting butterflies, but it's not. It's you in the presence of a narcissist, and in the middle of a trauma bond, you're getting love bombed, and you're getting red flagged at the same time, and that's why you're getting butterflies. Because I've went over this before, but I call it the feel good red flag. But if you think that they weren't trying to manipulate you even in the beginning, You know, a lot of times they are unconscious of this, but nevertheless, um, their intuition is satanic. So, you know, when they get thoughts of doing something, they're already overtaken. So even if they don't know, you know, theirs is coming from the satanic construct, and it's really demonic in nature. And so what happens is they're doing all these things, but they're all these manipulations that they're doing to you are they know what's going on as far as the construct goes. At some point, they know what the fruit of this causes. So bear in mind, they may not know the title of what they are as a narcissist, but they do know what they're doing. Even if some of this is unconscious, they still, you know what it causes to individuals, and how that the manipulations at some point, you know, you can't be dumb and blind forever. So keep in mind, you know, give me like a thumbs up, subscription. Peace out. Stand tall. Love y'all. Peace.